leave the world in Krishna consciousness on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. And then Lord Krishna left the world. He went up back to the spiritual world. So reading about Srila Prabhupada. I was in London talking with the people who's living at John Lennon's house. At one point, they were there for about a month because I think it was Shyamasunder. He was building the Berry Place Temple. I've been to that temple, and he imported all this California redwood, and he made a big ceiling like this. I did all the ceiling here. Actually, this was an office, and if you see, here's the wall. Right here, this wall came out, and there was a little office here. That was a bathroom there. We took out that wall, and there was an office ceiling to about here. We ripped all that out, threw it in a big pile. The pile came up to the gutter, and then you could see the ceiling and everything. So I was like, "What are we gonna do?" You know? And people were like, "Well, put in a commercial ceiling," and I'm like, "No, thank you." So I had all these saris people donated, so I just stapled them all up there. Saris everywhere. And when Maladi came, she goes, "This is really nice. I really like this." And one girl goes, "Hey, when you take it down, can I have that sari?" So eventually I took them down, and then I just got these plywoods from Home Depot, nailed them up there, painted them, and put that shit, and that's it. So Prabhupada was in John Lennon's estate for a month while Shyamasunder was fixing the temple, and at one point there was a big photo of John Lennon and Yoko completely naked. And Prabhupada said, "We have to get out of here." So Prabhupada is dictating now Krishna book. This is 1969, and simultaneously doing the first canto. We finished the first canto. That was in 1959. And he decided that I have to do the Krishna book with philosophy so that people will get the highest thing if I don't live very long. At 4:30 in the morning, Prabhupada's secretary, Purushottama, came in, followed by Yamuna Dasi. Purushottama offered arti to Prabhupada's small Radha Krishna deities, like those over there. And Yamuna, while Yamuna watched, Prabhupada sang prayers. That was his Mangalarti. Prabhupada's Mangalartik ceremony. The other dozen or so disciples had their own Mangalartik in the temple. As they walked the pathway to the temple, they felt the cold air and heard the bell of Prabhupada singing. Of course, they couldn't go under his room. There were too many devotees. But this is England, so it's cold and rainy. They could see through the pre-dawn mist the light coming from Prabhupada's window on the second floor. The sound of the harmonium drifted mystically through the trees. So Prabhupada was playing the harmonium. Later that morning, some of the devotees brought Prabhupada a news article with a headline, "Enter His Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami." It was a foot-high photo of Prabhupada playing kartals. The newspaper said, "Happiness is Hare Krishna," with a photo of Prabhupada and devotees. This was big news. Come on, he arrived, and John Lennon sent his car to pick him up. So one reporter goes, "Are you the guru of John Lennon and the Beatles?" Prabhupada didn't go for that. He said, "Hey, they have a guru." He didn't say, "I'm the guru." That would be presumptuous. The newspaper, Daily Telegraph, carried a different article called "Hindu Temple Protests." A lot of Hindus in England. "Conversion of office premises in Bloomsbury into a Hindu temple is being investigated by the Ministry of Public Buildings and Works." I think that must, that's about the Berry Place Temple that they're converting. the devotees' neighbors had apparently complained about the renovation that had been going on. They hadn't even had kirtan there, and they're complaining about the renovation. Rascals. The article quoted a council member. If their planning application is not granted, it will cost them a lot of money. Prabhupada said the devotees should do everything they could to prevent delays and obstacles establishing the temple, installing the deities of Radha Krishna. He suggests they go daily into the city and carefully, persistently, with the officials, secure the authorization. Meanwhile, Shamasundar should continue his remodeling work at Berry Place. So, Prabhupada wanted to establish Radha Krishna deities. And he didn't have any. But I think the Guru can see in the future, right? So what happened was they had finished the building and the festival was going to be like a week away. And a man called up and said, I have Radha Krishna deities, you want them? So Prabhupada sent his, I think it was Brahmananda and Tamal Krishna, to look at the deities. So they looked at them and immediately came back and said, Prabhupada, they're big, they're really nice. Harebo Jiva Mukta Devidasi. Telling the story about London deities. So they said, Prabhupada, you have to see this in London. Well, they got into the car or van or whatever, and went to the man's house. And the man with his whole family was there, very excited. The reason they were given the deities, do you know? The deities were broken. And according to Hindu custom, they cannot install broken deities. So give them to the Hare Krishna temple. You know, we get so much stuff, people don't know. You want this tape recorder? It doesn't work, but it looks pretty cool. So much junk we get. So, Prabhupada walked in the house, and they were very cordial, very respectful to Prabhupada. He's an elderly gentleman, salami, Indian, saffron clothes. And they all sat down, and he said, let me show you the deities. Prabhupada said, later. They all sat down, he talked all about his family, you know, what part of India is from, what is he doing in London, how long's he been in London, what's your daughter doing, what's your son doing, and it's such a nice house, blah, blah, blah. They talked, and then the man jumped up and said, let me show you the deities. Prabhupada said, yes, let us see. The white sheet was covering, and he whipped off the sheet, and there was Radha Landaneshwara. Have you seen those deities? They have a blue tint to them, and they're about as tall as my deities. And Prabhupada said, oh, very nice. And what broke was Radharani's finger had broken off, and he had the finger. So Prabhupada asked Brahmananda, see how heavy Krishna is. Big, oh, not too bad. And Shamasundar said, see how heavy Radharani is. And he picked her up. Not too bad. And then the Prabhupada turned to the man and said, thank you very much. And they walked right out the door with the deities. And the man was like, whoa, wait a minute. Swamiji. And as they were walking out real fast, and they said, Swamiji. Prabhupada turned around. He said, we can fix the finger on Radha and we can bring the deities for an official presentation. Prabhupada said, we have an expert man that can do that. Hare Krishna. Got in the van and drove off. And then down 2 blocks, he said, stop the van. He turned around and said, Govindam Adipusham Namajami. Do is like, you stole those deities, Prabhupada. Don't tell anybody. No, it was stole, they wanted to give him. So that was an incredible story. Any questions? Reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We got a lot.